Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up? And welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to a preview of this game, or these 5 games right here. This is Wild Duo. It is actually a collection of 5 different abstract 2-player games that you guys can see in front of me here. It is published by Triceratops, who's helping sponsor today's video, so a huge thank you to them. And it's designed by Mitsuo Yamamoto, which these are actually 5 games that he had made separately, and Triceratops has come and put them all into this little collection. They have done some amazing art for it, and I'm super excited to show you guys this today. Wild Duo will be up on Kickstarter on October 31st, or Halloween. I will have the link to the Kickstarter down below. If you want to see how all 5 of these 2-player abstract games play, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit the subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And without further ado, let's get into this preview of Wild Duo, shall we? All right, so this video is going to be a little bit different than the rest of the previews that I typically do, because normally in previews I would be previewing just one game, starting out with the aim of the game, going into the components, going into the how to play, and then finishing off with any extras as well. But with this, Wild Duo is actually a collection of 5 different games, and all of them are fairly simple rule set 2-player abstract games. All 5 of these are actually dealing with 5 different animal species, and actually 5 specific behaviors of those animal species. And the gameplay actually mimics the behaviors of these animals in different ways. But because this is a collection of 5 different games, I am just gonna go into one after the other, and I will do everything kind of compiled into each section. So we'll go through all 5 of these, which we have Tusk Tactics, Baleen Bubbles, Sealed Shores, Monkey Monarchs, as well as Manakin Mates. These are 5 different 2-player abstract games. I will add that you can play these with more than 2 players, but when you would do that, you would have to be playing in pairs. So you could play with 4 people, 6 people, 8 people, 10 people, and you would simply just be like switching off the pairs as you play. So yes, without further ado, we're going to get into all 5 of these individually. I will explain the aim of the game, as well as showing you the components of each of them, and then I'll get into a little bit of how they play. All 5 of them have a relatively simple rule set, so we're going to go through all 5 of them very quickly. Hopefully this video will not be too long. I do have to explain 5 different games, but thankfully abstract games are slightly easier to explain, so yes. Let's get first into Tusk Tactics. So starting off with Tusk Tactics, in this game you're going to be focusing on your herds of African elephants. So this is kind of the behavior of the African elephants and how they're going to be splitting into smaller herds as well as larger herds, and basically the aim of the game is for you to have the control of the most herds. So when it says you have control of a herd, that means that you have the top tile of a pile of elephants. And in the game, on your turn, you're simply going to be just moving one of your colors, so you can either be orange or yellow. There are some brown neutral elephants here, which I will explain in a second. But for this style of the game, there are 2 different ways that you can play this game. For this version of the game, you're simply just controlling either the orange or the yellow, and on your turn, you are simply going to be moving one of the herds. So at the beginning, all of the herds are just individual elephants, and the number of spaces that you can move that herd is the number of elephants in that stack. So for example, I could simply just move this one single orange elephant on top of this yellow. So then it would be a herd of 2 elephants. And because the orange elephant is on top, that would mean that the orange player is in control of that herd. And then you would simply continue from there. The yellow player might say, or might move a yellow elephant on top of here to create a herd of 2 as well. And then moving forward from there, if they decided to move this herd of 2 elephants, that would mean that this player would have to move this herd twice. So they would have to go 1, 2. And whenever you're moving a herd, you have to be able to move that certain amount, and you also have to land on an elephant. So you couldn't move onto an empty space. You would have to move onto a space with either one elephant or multiple elephants to kind of merge those 2 herds. So now that this player has a stack of 3 here, they would have to move 3. We could go back here and say that this player is going to move 2, 1, 2 onto here. And then we'd go back to the orange player. They would then have to move 3. In order to do that, they would either have to move this way and go 1, 2, 3 on top of this yellow here, or they could go this direction here and go 1, 2, 3 on top of an orange. But it probably might not be in their best interest to cover up one of their oranges, because that is one less that they have the opportunity to take control. Which, speaking of taking control, you could actually, this orange player, could move this orange here simply just 1 on top of this herd. So that would mean that they would now be in control of this herd of 4 elephants, and this stack would now have to move 4 on a future turn. Players would continue this, moving their herds of elephants, the amount of elephants in that stack, until no moves could be made. So that means that no herds could be moved their exact amount of spaces and landing on another elephant. Once that was all finished, each player would then count up the amount of herds that they controlled, so the amount of stacks that they had their color on top, and whatever player had the most control of the most herds would then be the winner of Tusk Tactics. And touching on the other way that you can play this game, there's actually an underside to this board, and I will show you guys the setup of it and what it looks like with the neutral elephants in some B-roll, but this would be played exactly the same. You would be moving the elephants and creating herds, but you would be trying to get the largest herd. So whatever player at the end of that game would have the largest herd under their control, they would be the winner of that other second version of Tusk Tactics. And that is everything for how to play the first of 5 of these different abstract games. But let's move on to Baleen Bubbles. All right, so Baleen Bubbles is focusing on humpback whales and the behavior that they use in the wild for feeding. So they are the whales with the huge ginormous mouths that kind of just swim with their mouth open and just captures whatever goes into their mouth. In Baleen Bubbles, you're going to be starting off the game with all of your tokens on one side. One player will be playing blue and one player will be playing black. And each player has 6 of the humpback whales, and they have 1 school of fish. And the aim of the game for this one is that each player is trying to get their school of fish into the center spot. And the way that you're going to do this is you are allowed to move any of your pieces, but they have to move as far as they can in a straight line, either forward, to the side, or on a diagonal until they hit something else. And they have to go that full length of the board. So for example, this is not a great setup here because this is after the game has already been finished, but for example, I could move this one here all the way until it hit this one here. And basically this is going to continue. Players are going to be moving 1 piece a turn, moving all the way until they hit something, either another whale, the school of fish, or the edge of the board. And then whatever player can manage to kind of manipulate the board so that they can move their school of fish into the center wins the game. So in this one here, I believe it ended where the fish was on the top and one of the blue players' whales was on the bottom, and they simply just pushed it and they finished with their school of fish in the center. So that is how Baleen Bubbles is played. Very simple. I think this is probably one of the easier of the 5 for rule set, but yes, that is Baleen Bubbles. That is how that one plays. Let's move on to now Sealed Shores. So in Sealed Shores, you are going to be playing as South American sea lions. Each player is going to be playing 1 specific color, so there is either the sand color or the brown color, and basically the sea lions, the South American sea lions, are very territorial, and in the months of, I think it said December to February, they come back to land for breeding season. And the aim of the game for this one is to block off one of your opponent's seals so that they cannot make a move with that seal. So you're trying to surround one of those seals so that on the player's turn, if they tried to move that seal, they could not move it. So in this situation here, I do have one of the brown seals that has one of the sand colored seals kind of surrounding it so that it cannot move. So on a player's turn, they are allowed to move one of their sea lions as much as they want in one single direction. So The interesting thing about this one is that the lines go off the board. So when a line goes off the board, that means that a player can actually move a seal all the way around to the other side. So there's not really many good, I guess I could move this one, and you can move it as far as you want. You could stop by moving simply just one space, or you could continue moving all the way until you wanted to stop on that single line. There are additionally some curved lines, so players can actually move their seal along these curved lines all the way until they wanted to stop. So in Sealed Shores, you are doing two different things at the same time. You are trying to avoid any of your seals being completely sealed off, and then you're also trying to seal off one of your players' pieces. So you're focusing on two different things. Again, I think this is one of the easier of the 5 for the rules. So that is Sealed Shores. Simply just trying to block off or make your opponent not be able to move one of their seals. Let's move on to Monkey Monarchs. So for Monkey Monarchs, you're going to be playing as golden snub-nosed monkeys, which are highly endangered monkeys from the mountains in central China, and you're going to be playing as one of the families, and they kind of have this hierarchy in their families. So you have one alpha male, and then you also have some other males as well as some females with their babies. So as one of the groups, they're a little bit asymmetric because the blue player does have one alpha, 2 females, and 3 males, whereas the yellow player has 1 alpha, 2 males, and 3 females. So the numbers are slightly different, so it brings a little bit of asymmetry to the game. But basically for this, you can win in a few different ways. One being that you get rid of their alpha monkey, which starts in the corners here. And then another is once they move their alpha monkey out of that corner, that alpha monkey has a rock, and if the opposite player is able to get one of their monkeys onto the opposite team's rock, they also win that way as well. So in this game, again, on your turn, you're going to be moving one of your monkeys one space, whether that be orthogonally or diagonally, and your goal is to, like I said, off the alpha monkey, but you can additionally group up with either your monkeys of the same type, so 2 females, 2 males, or the other player you can actually group up with and get rid of the other player's monkey. So what I mean when I say this is that if you can manage to get 2 of your females on either sides of one of the other player's males, that means that the females have grouped up on the males and that male is out. Additionally, that can happen opposite. So if one player is able to get 2 males on either side of a female, that means that that female has been taken out. If you are ever able to do this with the alpha and you're able to get the alpha out, that means that you do win the game. And then additionally, you can do something called deception. So what this means is that you can actually get rid of an opponent's piece using their piece as well. So if you can manage to surround the other player's piece with one of your females and one of their females, that actually makes it so whatever is in the center gets taken away as well. So that means that the player's female actually worked with the other player's female, kind of against them, and offed one of their males. I will additionally say that you can never surround the same type, so you can't surround a female with 2 females. Also, if you are able to do 2 apart with 2 in the middle, so if I had 2 females with 2 males in the center, for example, that would actually take out both of those males as well. And like I said, the 2 ways for you to win this one is to either off the alpha male, or once the alpha male has moved off of their rock, if you are able to get one of your monkeys into the opposite team's or onto the opposite team's rock, that also allows you to win the game as well. So that is pretty much everything for Monkey Monarch. I will say this one is a little bit more complicated with the different ways that you can do things. So this is a slightly more complicated one than the others, but like I said at the beginning of this video, all 5 of these are very simple rule sets. So that is generally how you play Monkey Monarchs. I believe there are some slight additional rules there, but that is the overview for the most part of Monkey Monarchs. Let's get into the last one, which is Mannequin Mates. So moving on to the last game here, this is called Manakin Mates, and this is based off of the blue manakin birds and their mating dance. I guess they have this mating dance where the males actually come together and they do this little dance alongside each other. I'm sure you guys have seen videos of it. There is one main alpha bird that is going to be the one to eventually mate with the female. The other ones are kind of there, the other males are kind of there to help out the alpha male and also gain experience from the alpha males. So eventually they will be able to become the alpha in a breeding dance, but this is a little bit like Connect 4 with some additional things built on top of it. So your goal for this is to get 4 of your colored birds in a row, and your tiles can actually be flipped to the other player's side. Additionally, you can flip the other players into your colors as well. And you are trying to simply just do a Connect 4. So that is going to be in horizontal, vertical, or diagonally. And on a player's turn at the beginning of the game, they are going to either place one of their birds onto any of the open spots on the board, or they're going to choose to move a bird. So a bird can be moved one spot unless they are moving throughout the color that they are. So if I, the purple player, decided to place here on this purple bush here, or this purple tree, I can on my next turn either move once into another color, or I could move diagonally across these purples until I wanted to stop. So I could just move one, or I could move all the way to the other side here because all of those trees are purple. I couldn't continue moving like around. It is only in one direction and then you stop. But that would be a turn. The white player similarly can go onto the white trees. So a player could place them here, and then because they are on a white tree here, they could actually move in a straight line all the way across to here because that straight line are all of the white trees. So on your turn, you can either place or you can move, and you're going to be placing your birds out. And eventually, if you are ever able to move a bird to create, much like Monkey Monarchs, a little bit of a sandwich of your birds, so having maybe 2 white birds and a purple bird in the center, you are able to turn that purple bird. So if this purple bird was here, and I was here, I moved this bird, which I will add, you cannot do this if you are simply just placing a bird. So on my turn, if I was the white player, I couldn't simply just place this bird here and then flip this purple one. You have to be able to move into that situation. So I could, as the white player, move one over to here, and then that would make a sandwich between this purple bird here, and I would be able to flip this over to my side, which is the white side. Additionally, if you are ever able to do this situation where you were able to sandwich 2 purple birds and you were able to move one of your white birds to make that complete sandwich of 2 white birds on the outside and then 2 purple birds on the inside, that would allow you to flip over both of the purple birds on the inside, and then that would actually allow you to win the game because you would have 4 in a row of your white birds. But this is a lot more difficult than I just made it seem there. It's very difficult to move those birds around in specific ways and flip over your opponent's birds to eventually get to that Connect 4 or that group of 4 birds in a line. So players would continue this either placing one of their birds onto the board or moving their birds until they are able to flip over some of their opponent's birds and make, or you could actually just make that line simply by moving one of your birds. But once one player is able to do 4 birds in a row, they would win the game. If ever, this is an additional rule, if ever you, as the player, made a row of 5 birds though, that actually would mean that you would lose the game. So you are trying to get exactly 4 birds in a row. If you ever get more, so 5 birds in a row, which is the most because this is a 5x5 grid, you would unfortunately lose the game and the other player would win. Quickly before we get into the outro, I did want to show you guys that there is a little pouch additionally for each of the pieces for each of the games. So easy to travel with. If you just simply wanted to take one of the 5 games with you, you could just put all the pieces into the bag and then take the board with you. Yes, that is everything for all 5 of the games. Let's get into the outro. All right, friends, so that's going to be everything for today's video and this preview of Wild Duo. Let me know if this is something that you guys are interested in. Like I mentioned, I do have the link down below to the Kickstarter if you guys are interested in this. If you enjoy 2-player only games, if you enjoy abstract games, I think this would be a great fit for you. But yes, huge thank you again to Triceratops for sponsoring today's video. If you enjoyed, please give this video a big thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. Comment down below if Wild Duo is something that you are interested in. And I love you guys so, so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.